Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held talks with Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen at the Danish Cabinet's headquarters in Copenhagen. The meeting tackled means of boosting bilateral relations in different fields, and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi earlier met with the Speaker of Danish Parliament Søren Gade and a number of Danish parliamentarian figures during his visit to the Kingdom of Denmark. More details in the following report.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with the Speaker of the Danish Parliament, Søren Gade, and a number of parliamentarian figures during his visit to the headquarters of the Parliament in Copenhagen in the framework of his current visit to the Kingdom of Denmark. President al-Sisi held dialogue with the Parliament Speaker and parliamentarian figures tackling the Egyptian-Danish relations in all fields. For his part, the Parliament Speaker welcomed President al-Sisi's visit to his country, considered as the first Egyptian president to visit Denmark. President al-Sisi also held talks with the Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen to discuss means of boosting bilateral relations in different fields. At the Parliament's headquarters, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi also signed a word in the registry of the top visitors to the Parliament. He held an inspection tour at the headquarters as well. During his tour, President al-Sisi listened to an explanation regarding the Parliament and the building. During his visit, Egypt will also sign with Denmark a declaration to elevate strategic ties between the two countries later on Saturday.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi made a number of activities during his official visit to Denmark, where he held a string of fruitful meetings with Danish King Frederick X, as well as senior officials and heads of companies. President al-Sisi's visit comes amid a three-leg tour, which also includes Norway and Ireland, to enhance collaboration between Egypt and the European countries. Details follow.
Earlier, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi laid a wreath on the Copenhagen War Memorial at the start of his visit to Denmark, where he also visited the Kastellet, a monumental citadel located in the Danish capital. After the visit, President al-Sisi received a red carpet reception by Denmark's King Frederick X. Then brief joint talks followed, which mainly focused on enhancing ties along with a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern. Later, the King of Denmark held a dinner banquet in honor of President al-Sisi. Furthermore, President al-Sisi and the Danish King took part in the Egyptian-Danish Business Conference. In his speech before the gathering, the President announced that Egypt and Denmark are to sign a joint declaration to raise bilateral ties to the level of strategic partnership, stressing that the economic investment trade files are the core of this partnership, especially in sectors of common interest like shipping, maritime industry, renewable and green energy, amongst others. In the meantime, President al-Sisi met with Robert Maersk Ogla, the head of the A.P. Møller Maersk Company. The President hailed the Danish company's activities to develop a number of container hubs in Egypt to turn them into global ones. In another meeting, President al-Sisi met with Philip Christiani, the CEO of Copenhagen Company for Infrastructure, where the President expressed keenness to witness expansion of the company's investments in Egypt is willing to increase its green hydrogen production and renewable energy in general. The meeting also tackled other projects which can be held in Egypt in light of the state's will to attract foreign direct investments.
To know more about this historical visit by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to Denmark, for the first time an Egyptian president to visit Denmark at the capital Copenhagen, I'm delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of International Relations. Good afternoon, Dr. Hassan.
Good afternoon to you.
First of all, I'm delighted to have you on this special coverage as we're talking about the historical visit of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to Denmark. He is the first Egyptian president to visit Denmark. How do you comment on this, and what reflections can we get out of this historical visit?
Actually, this is a very historic visit because it's the first one by an Egyptian president, and President Fattah al-Sisi is doing all possible efforts to do two things. Number one, to enhance the Egyptian economy and enhance positive relations among friends. And Denmark is a very important country. I knew many of the business people who really went there and found it very important when it comes to the investment environment. And like Mr. Anan, the famous person who is honored by the king himself. And I think that the other way or the other dimension of his visit is to mobilize the international community, all the key actors, to play a role in putting an end to the conflict in the Middle East, getting the Palestinians on the right track and to stop this genocidal war, and giving the Palestinians their due rights. And I think that this is very compatible with what did happen a few days ago, when there was a very important meeting between United Nations and Cairo, between the President and Guterres. Guterres, the Secretary of the United Nations, welcomed very much the role played by Egypt, considered it as a very important hub for peace in the world. So the President is doing an excellent job when it comes to trying to disseminate the culture of positive relationship and positive negotiations.
Yes, Dr. Hassan, also this visit is not only to boost bilateral ties between Egypt and Denmark, but also this is to elevate the relations between both countries to the level of a strategic partnership. How do you think this level of diplomacy that Egypt is maintaining with European countries, and especially Denmark, is beneficial to the Egyptian economy in particular?
This is a very important step because, and it is usually based on good relationship and good indicators to raise the, you can find a way, it's important to enhance the relationship and raise it to the strategic level. So it is based on positive historic treatment and a good relationship between the two countries.
Yes, of course. Dr. Hassan, would you please shed more light on the topics and the main highlights that were discussed between the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the King of Denmark, Frederick X, and the fields of cooperation that are to be done in the future between them?
Yes, there are several memos of understanding when it comes to economic situation. The President, as you have said in the report, I've met with business people and important and key companies. So I think this all serves the good communication to enhance the economic situation and the economic exchange between these two friendly countries. And also, no one can deny what is happening in the Middle East. And the Middle East needs interventionism from all the international community and the European Union and from all the powers of the world. And I think Denmark is, and the other states that the President intended to go are playing important role, and these are under the mobilizing of the collective efforts to establish, to put a stop on the war and on violence and on the zero-sum mentality, and to try to convert it into win-win approach, which is conducive to sustainable development for everyone.
Yes, talking about sustainable development, this is a very important point, as you know, sir, that Denmark is one of the leading countries, especially in the renewable energy resources. How do you comment on this, as the cooperation between the two countries mainly depend on this issue and also the trading file?
Yes, of course, when it comes to renewable energy, Egypt is taking a leading role when it comes to green hydrogen and producing green hydrogen. And I think that the entire world needs that, and I think that the decisions and the conclusive remarks of COP27, which was led by the President in Egypt here, and attended by all the representatives of the world, there is a warning against the challenges we are meeting when it comes to climate changes, radical changes happening. A lot of losses could happen from that. So I think the climate change is on the agenda of the President and the agenda of the the King of Denmark.
Yes, of course, and this is going to lead to more job opportunities to Egyptians and also from the other side, and this is going to be beneficial to the economies of both countries. But also, one of the highlights that were discussed between the two countries is fighting extremism, and also this is, when we say extremism, this means the illegal migration as well. How do you think the two countries could cooperate on such a file?
You know, of course, Egypt is a very leading and a very important country when it comes to fighting terrorism.
Yes.
And Egypt has went through many rounds for doing that and proved success in its efforts. But again, there are future challenges, as you see in the map of the world. When it comes to the developments in Syria, developments in Lebanon, developments in Palestine, of course, number one. I think this has created displacement. Egypt is hosting more than 10 million people in its own land, consuming everything as citizens of Egypt. And I think this needs a great deal of cooperation between all the European countries, including the countries the President visits and will visit also. So I think it is legitimate request to have this our say in what is happening, and we have to stop to make a stop on any future conflict and any future more violence, because it means more displaced people and more problematic things and more of attrition of the resources of the world, the entire world.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of International Relations. Now, dear viewers, we're going to have a short break and get back to this special coverage.